When I agreed to spend the summer living with my girlfriend Hannah and her family, I never imagined the turn things would take. I had just finished my junior year at Indiana State and accepted a summer internship near Hannah's hometown in Vermont. Since she was staying with her parents for the summer, her Aunt Susan, who lived just 15 minutes away from the office, offered me the guest room in her place for convenience. Susan was in her mid-40s, independent, confident, and surprisingly warm for someone I'd only met twice before. She had a modern home nestled near the lake and worked from home as an interior designer. When I moved in, she showed me around like a proper host, made me coffee that first morning, and even helped me organize my clothes into the spare closet. She smiled a lot. She had a way of making silence comfortable. The arrangement was supposed to be simple. I would stay out of her way during work hours and spend evenings doing internship tasks or occasionally visiting Hannah. But over the next few weeks, things began to shift. It was small things at first, Susan asking how my day had gone and listening like she truly cared, her making dinner without ever asking me to help, or those rare nights when we both happened to sit in the living room, watching old movies on the couch, laughing like old friends. She'd toss me a blanket without asking if I was cold, or pour me a second glass of wine, even if I never finished the first. One Friday night, I got home a little later than usual, soaked from the sudden rain. I kicked off my wet sneakers, shook the water from my hair, and went straight to the shower. The house was quiet. Susan's car was in the driveway, so I assumed she was upstairs or in her home office. I didn't hear the door creak open. I didn't even know she was nearby until I turned slightly, eyes half closed under the hot spray, and saw her silhouette through the misted glass. She didn't scream. She didn't look embarrassed. In fact, she looked calm. Confused, maybe, but composed. Oh, she started, but then paused. I reached for the towel on the hook, suddenly aware, adrenaline firing through me. Susan, I'm so sorry. I thought you weren't. No, no, she said, backing out quickly. It's my fault. I should have knocked. I just wanted to leave fresh towels. Sorry, Jacob. The door closed gently. My heart pounded. I leaned against the tiled wall, unsure what had just happened or why I couldn't stop thinking about the look in her eyes. Not shock, not guilt, but something else. Something searching. The next morning was strangely normal. She made pancakes, wore her usual soft knit robe, and smiled like nothing happened. I tried to focus on my coffee, but I kept catching myself glancing at her, noticing the curve of her neck when she turned, the warmth in her voice, the calm in her presence. I couldn't help but wonder if she'd been thinking about that moment too. A week later, Hannah left town with her family on a short trip, and I stayed back due to work. Susan and I had the house to ourselves. That Saturday evening, she invited me to join her for dinner on the deck. The sun was setting over the lake. She wore a light summer dress, her hair tied loosely back. I wore the same blue shirt Hannah had once complimented me on. We talked about life, choices, love, mistakes. She was honest in a way people rarely are, vulnerable but not weak. I told her about my internship stress. She told me about a divorce I didn't know she had gone through 3 years ago. You ever feel like you're waiting for something to wake you up? She asked, swirling her wine. I nodded. Sometimes it feels like I'm living life in rehearsal. That made her smile. You're wiser than your age, Jacob. That night, after we cleaned up, she lingered in the kitchen while I dried the dishes. Our hands brushed. She didn't pull away. I hope I didn't make things awkward the other day, she said quietly. You didn't, I said. I just didn't expect it. That's all. She looked at me then, not the way an aunt looks at her niece's boyfriend, but the way a woman looks at someone who sees her beyond the surface. Okay, she whispered. I just didn't want you to think less of me. I stepped closer. I don't. There was a pause that lasted longer than it should have. Then she turned off the light and walked past me slowly, her hand brushing my arm. Good night, Jacob. The house felt heavier with silence that night. I couldn't sleep. The next morning, I woke up earlier than usual. Susan was already in the kitchen in workout clothes, sipping her coffee, scrolling through her tablet. She looked up. Morning. I nodded, grabbing a mug. Didn't sleep much? Me either, she said. That day, something was different. Our conversations felt loaded, our glances lingering. That night it rained again. I stood on the porch, watching the water dance on the driveway. She came and stood beside me. You look like you got something to sweet